Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the Town of Athens Select Board meeting.
We'll call the meeting to order. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Okay.
None for me.
Minutes from the prior meeting?
I'll accept those as printed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Public comment. Keep it to 3 minutes. Dennis?
Board, thank you. I've got a couple of paragraphs here I'd like to read in reference to Taylor Hill Road.
Okay.
This past Tuesday, another hearing was held without a resolution in this matter after over 3 years. There have been 3 studies of this road's condition and how it relates to the town of Athens and its residents and taxpayers. Study 1, Mark Pickering, Vermont Agency of Transportation. The report was August 21st of 2020. His conclusion was the town should not adopt Taylor Hill Road as a Class 3 town highway. Study 2, Reeves Consulting, hired by the residents of Taylor Hill Road. It focused primarily on the physical properties of the road, ignoring right-of-way widths, benefits to the community, road width, obstructions in the established legal right-of-way, and the significant cost for maintenance and liability to the town. Study 3, the Athens Road Commission report dated November 8th, 2022, consisting of 3 members approved by both parties, held a public meeting on October 12th, 2022, took testimony from attorneys from both sides, select board members and townspeople, and physically walked the road. Found that by his own admission, Mr. Reeves of Reeves Consulting report was very narrow and didn't address many of the concerns of the representative of the Vermont Agency of Transportation. The road did not benefit the public as a whole. Road would be unsafe for winter maintenance, and the list goes on and on against Taylor Hill Road becoming a town road. The Taylor Hill Road residents seem to want compassion and understanding by the other residents of this town. But what about them towards the community as a whole? Where's their compassion and understanding? Let it be noted, this past town meeting, our budget was declined twice. Taxpayers are overburdened with taxes. This should be an indication of how to go forward. Our town employees have made great progress in the past couple of years, and to have to move additional funds to Taylor Hill would impede on the progress of the entire town. It is long past due that this standoff ends. This could happen in several ways. Taylor Hill residents withdraw their lawsuit. The select board vote infinitely not to take over Taylor Hill Road now or in the future. Our town attorney calls for a final judgment in favor of the town based on the findings of the 3 previously mentioned studies. There are some in Athens who support Taylor Hill Road being taken over by the town and are willing to pay additional taxes for that action. There are others who do not. The residents of Taylor Hill Road chose to live there knowing that they would be responsible for the maintenance cost. Now, after over 50 years, the residents want the other taxpayers of Athens to assume that liability of the decision they made when acquiring their property. I have a proposal which may end this standoff. The residents of Taylor Hill Road develop a pledge sheet. Upon signing this pledge sheet, any town resident or taxpayer would pledge a set amount of money in support of Taylor Hill Road. The remaining residents or taxpayers could refrain. This action would leave the decision of how their money is spent to the individual. I request at this time that these statements be admitted to the Select Board's official minutes dated Thursday, July 20th, 2023.
All right, we will take those and put that to him and she'll put them to the minute. Public comment? Okay.
Yeah, I have a little bit of time. I want to express my appreciation to Matt and Eugene for all the hard work that they do. I feel like the town is very fortunate to have these two fellows taking care of our roads for us.
Yes, I wanted to ask whether the planning commission has been put together and is convened to begin working on the,
We're gonna be working on that tonight.
huh?
We're gonna be working on appointments tonight.
For the planning commission, okay.
Me? I have a question about executive sessions. I've noticed that in the past couple of years, there have been an extremely large amount of executive sessions. And I was reading in the Select Board handbook on page 33 that executive sessions should only be for extreme cases. And that when you go into executive session, we should be told what it is for, not just if we have this, it would alter the outcome. And that no decisions are to be made in executive session and to be voted on in a select board meeting. But I've never seen in minute, I know they don't keep minutes and aren't required to, but I never see anything in the next select board meeting noting, or when you go into an executive session, what it's for. Is it for Taylor Hill? Is it for employee? Is it for a lawsuit?
So when you go into executive session, we do say it's a legal matter, it's an employee matter, we do say that before we go in.
But just a legal matter,
Yeah,
not
and
a
you can't-
legal matter for what?
Yeah, that's because we're going to executive session. A legal matter is not privy to,
But then nobody ever knows if that legal matter that was in executive session was ever resolved.
it's still a legal matter.
Can I say something to that? If the purpose of not having legal matters discussed publicly is so that the town doesn't become at a disadvantage, so that anything that they talk about, it's recorded and it's public. And so the purpose of that is that the board should be able to make decisions on behalf of the town without having those discussions then be levied against them by the public. That's just the reason
So I
for
guess
that. They're supposed to announce if they make any decisions. So if they were gonna say, we're deciding to sue John Smith, they would have to announce that, but otherwise their decision-making conversations about that is because it would disadvantage the town as an entity to have the public know about it,
All right.
which is the statement that they
It
give
just,
when they go in.
it seems like every select board meeting, there's an executive session, so there must be a heck of a lot of legal things going on.
Not every meeting,
No,
but
okay.
we do have.
All right, so that's,
Yes, I'd like to first thank Denise for coming and responding to our phone call about our property again. How Eugene took the grader and dug that ditch gully or whatever at the bottom of the hill where they had previously re-ledged it. And the grade of it never got as high as it used to be. And water runs right in there, but we never had a problem with that until a couple of years ago. And if one of the highway department had been civil and just stopped and asked, we could have told them there's a culvert up above there. It's a town culvert that runs across our yard that's probably plugged or been crushed. And we wouldn't be going through this. But Denise was the only one that I feel cares about the taxpayers in this town because she responded. And Tom left messages, but you can't leave them on yours because your mailbox is full and you can't get you at your home. And he left one with Sandy and we never got any response.
And I would just like to say that there was a problem with details in my voicemails. I got home last night from 12 hours of working down in Massachusetts to find 20 voicemails from the week of the 10th. So I got the voicemail yesterday, you know, at 9 o'clock at night.
And I did not get voice. Well,
Exactly. And he called numerous times. But you know, this way that it's been running down there is not needed. It could be fixed.
well, Kristen?
I came to put my name in for the opening on the select board. I submitted a letter, I'm not sure if that was given, and then I was CC'd on multiple letters of support that came in this week from people in the town that I serve on boards with. I really care about this town. It's my home. I want to live here. I hope to one day raise a family. I really care about my neighbors. And since moving home, I've done everything from be on the select board, town agents, or not the select board, sorry, the meeting house committee, the brick house. And I really want to make this town a better place. But more importantly, I want to be a person that people want to talk to. And I think I've established that in the positions that I'm in. Additionally, I do think that my legal training could help with the board. I was an attorney for the New York City Law Department, which is the largest municipal employer in the country. It's really important to me that the town as an employer pays livable wages that allows their employees to thrive and has fair policies that allows them to continue to work here, because other towns around us pay a lot and have really great policies. And so I welcome the opportunity to be on the board, and I'm not sure if they're here, but
there is a whole packet from Krista and the letters of recommendation in the select board inbox. I think
No, I think that comes up during letter time, right?
yeah, I'm not sure, but I have multiple ones from everyone that I've been on
Okay.
boards
You can
with.
give those to us and we can put them in the minutes too.
And then the last thing I want to say is, I know I did run in March and I lost by only one vote. I think I came up 49 to 50. So I do think that it's evident that there's widespread support for my candidacy as recently as March, having lost by only one vote.
Okay. Public comment? Public comment? Public comment? Sherry, public comment?
No, not this time.
I didn't put nearly as much effort into it as Krista did, but I did hear that Harold resigned, and I would be willing to temporarily fill his position, but I didn't know there was any other interest. That's why.
Okay.
I don't know if I would want to fill it for a long term, but I would. I could.
The position is open until March. It's only a one-year position, and so we would appoint it now, and that position will need to be voted in March.
Or if there was a special
Or
time
if there was a special.
Actually, you can't do that. I did want to point that out. No, so I printed it off. Vermont statute about appointment,
We
showing
have
my
to-
legal skills.
We have to
They,
appoint it
you have to
forthwith.
appoint it for the term, but you're not allowed to hold an election for it unless the majority of the board is absent. Because it says the board shall appoint someone to fill it until the next election. And then you do have a townwide meeting. There's a semicolon, so it's a separate clause, only if the majority of the board is absent. If you guys all died, then the secretary would also have to call a special election.
So, yeah, but that.
I don't plan on dying.
Please don't all die. That would be very bad.
Great.
Yeah, I don't think we can call a special town meeting.
Right.
But if one is called, then it's elected.
Yeah, well, this one for specifically filling an appointment,
Yes.
it's not called by special election. You have to appoint somebody.
Yes, no, I understand that, but if
I just
there
wanted
is
to
one
point that out, so
between,
you can keep that.
if there's one between now and March, then it would have to come up. And not just the select board, it would be
Yeah.
any position that was on it. All right, Matt, public comments? Nope. All right,
I have a couple things.
go ahead.
One of them is that this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the community center, there'll be an event to introduce the new community forest to the town. And so we'll be talking a bit about it, and hopefully David will be there to talk a bit about the land that's becoming the community forest. And then we're going to carpool down and take a short walk on the land. So anybody who wants to come to that,
2:00.
2 o'clock on Saturday at the community center. Yeah. And then I also have an email that Henry Woodbury sent me and asked if I could read. And the title of it is Whitney Road Drainage System. So he says, much more water is now flowing from the west side of the road onto our property and causing damage that is more than I can deal with. One of our 3 culverts gets plugged with large stones and deadwood, resulting in our southern driveway washing out due to modifications above Ben Fix's property. 2 town-owned culverts that drained onto Oak's property no longer carry any water. It runs down the road now. There is a 100-foot-long culvert on the west side of the road that is not being fully used. Water still running down the road sometimes manages to run off the east side and down over the bank and into the back side of our house. I originally had a ditch behind the house dug with a horse-drawn scoop in 1967, the year we moved to Athens. There is a water line and a propane gas pipe between our house and garage under that same area, preventing me from digging the ditch a little deeper, not to mention the decrepity of my 82-year-old legs and the scarcity of a draft horse available for my use. Further issues. When the TV company hauled off hundreds of tons of gravel fill that I happily donated for the cause of a small family living on the cemetery road in a camp that they demolished and replaced with an all-new dwelling with accommodation for a child with special needs, after that major production, Tom Taylor told me that the remaining gravel would be good for Brookline Road in the Hedgehog section, so I donated the remaining gravel to the town of Athens. After the dust settled, Tom told me that the TV company had left a pile of road material that could be used to repair damage done by the big mining trucks in a small heap down by the town garage. I never did help myself to any of that material as was offered, being truckless at the time. Now, after running my homemade rake over our washed-out southern driveway, I'd like to get some good road gravel to finish that little section so it could be used by smaller vehicles. Henry Woodbury.
So he's saying it's from Whitney Road that's washing it out?
That's what it says, yeah.
And Whitney Road has had some work done on it. Does it still go that way, or I don't know how recently this letter was.
Years ago, we rebuilt it. We reshaped it and because of the flood.
But I suspect he wouldn't, it's doing it now if it, if
Well,
he's writing about it.
Well, it's because we opened up all the culverts and ditches and
I mean, I would think that we would want to, I know we had some issues with Whitney Road here before that, so.
and I can't, no more water can run from bends down through. It's already starting to wash now. If any more comes down through, it's just gonna wash the road out every time it rains. But unfortunately, we don't have normal thunder showers anymore where it's an inch, inch and a half of rain. Now it's 4 to 6 inches of rain.
I think Henry would just appreciate a load of gravel. I think that would be a nice gesture for the extra water that's flowing onto their land.
Is there any way to clean culverts out that have
Help clean this culvert.
That when you guys come down through there.
Right.
Maybe got plugged this last. I haven't been up there since this last rainstorm, but I can go up there and check it tomorrow. They were good before I left on vacation.
Yeah, let's check it out, see
Yeah,
what
I'll
we
stop
can,
by Henry.
see what we can do to do that. And you were gonna work on the couple issues about Whitney Road there at the bottom and.
Yeah, we're gonna do all that with our grants and aid package this year. We're gonna do that and Sam Fire Road.
Okay.
First week or two in August.
Okay.
Barring other surprises.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for public comments? Moving on from there, we'll go to the treasurer's report and boards and officials.
Is anyone gonna take a look at that folder?
I will come out and look at it.
I'll talk to that under roads. I just have another question about roads, but it's on the agenda, so I'll look towards.
Sorry. Treasurer's report, yeah?
Yeah, okay, so, tax bills were sent out on Tuesday. Big thanks to Amber and Carol and Darlene who helped with that work. So we should be seeing some revenue between now and September 10th, hopefully. So we paid A.S. Clark for the culvert work, and the way I accounted for it was taking $14,997 from the grant matching fund. So if you look at your balance sheet that I gave you on the first page, the fourth column over is the grant matching fund. It has $3 in it now because it had 15,000 and we spent all but $3. And then the remainder of the culvert job I put under the grant reimbursable line item. So I don't know what the status of that grant is, but hopefully we will receive that money and be able to zero out that grant reimbursable line item. So you can see, let's see, if you're looking at the budget, the other document I gave you under road maintenance, second from the last item is grant reimbursable. So you see there's $134,973 in there. I believe that is all the A.S. Clark. Yeah.
I think with the flooding and stuff, that it may take the state a bit longer, hopefully not, but.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get it this year. Because it's doing it in this method, it's really nice to get the grant reimbursement in the same year.
I suspect we'll get it by this year.
We'll get it in the next one. We should be.
Yeah, I've seen some emails that said that things may be a little longer.
Well, when we handed the paperwork in, it's in the middle of their audit. So it's after the 1st of July is when they start writing checks again.
So we also, in this warrant, reimbursed Janet for the chipper flywheel, and I chose to put that under the small equipment purchases from the equipment fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
So we received some homestead payments from the state, so that there's some tax-related revenue, which shows up in the budget report. Municipal tax adjustment. So it's in the very top section on the first page, little halfway down.
But we didn't get it all, did we?
So we got all for all the people who have filed homesteads. So
And that usually does come in one chunk, or do they usually?
there's some stragglers. I think the state processes them once a month.
Okay.
And so we'll probably get another batch in August, and we'll send out some revised tax bills, and we may get another batch. I mean, we may get another batch every month for the rest of the year, for all I know. But after September, then starts to be penalties associated with those.
And then anything that comes in after taxes need to be paid, if the homeowner pays all the taxes, we would just reimburse them that amount.
That's what I'm telling people.
Yeah.
All right.
There's also in the warrant a workers' comp adjustment. So we have from our workers' comp audit. I didn't know that we needed to, like when we give raises, that we need to
Raise
let
workers'
VLCT know that there's going to be more pay. So when they did our audit for last year, we ended up having to pay an extra $900. And I went in and I changed it in their system, so now they know what our payroll is overall. So we're also going to pay that much more for this year. So we're going to get hit with $1,800 for more workers' comp this year than we budgeted, because we have to pay a penalty for last year and we'll have to pay for this year. So I think that's...
So when is the deadline that you need to let them know for that?
You're just supposed to do it any old time, and they will, whenever you know your payroll is going to change. Now I know there's like a portal that I can go in and change it, and then they will adjust and charge us accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all for the treasurer's report. I had a couple of boards and officials things. Should I go?
Sure, go right ahead.
The generator is supposed to get repaired this Saturday. Parts are in. They were in, but then flood happened and they were busy with other stuff. Do you want to do the credit card application, David?
Right now.
Okay. So I'm gonna cancel the debit card that we have as soon as we get a credit card. I spoke with Sarah Macy at VLCT, who does the financial stuff, and she says recommend not having a debit card linked to any of your accounts. So she suggests to have a credit card that we just use and pay off. In that way, if there's any kind of fraud where someone can use the debit card and actually like get cash out of our account, you can't do that with a credit card.
Right.
So she says so. M&T Bank says that in order to have a town credit card, they'll need they need our last 2 years of town reports, which I can get them, and then they need signed board minutes providing a detailed resolution that the board approved Hannah year to apply for a business credit card at M&T Bank for whatever dollar amount. And she says the minimum credit card amount is $2,500, but you can lower the individual card limit once the credit card is issued to $500. So I told her I thought we only needed like a $500 limit on the credit cards. I'm just using it to buy stamps.
I think we should have it, it's 2,500, we don't wanna use it up to that, but we have it on the chance that we need it for something.
Sure.
And I'll make that motion that we allow Hannah to.
What, Hannah, right,
Yes.
I will second that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, there's in your inbox, I noticed there's a road access permit. Just wanted to point that out. I don't know what that falls under, maybe roads.
Okay,
And then I will, I haven't done the Square account yet that Tina asked for at the last meeting, but according to, Sarah at the LCT, she considers that secure enough that we could just connect it to one of our existing accounts and not open a new checking or savings account. So I will probably just open a Square account and use our savings account probably,
okay,
or checking account. It might be easier to use a checking account. But she says plenty of other towns do that.
okay,
She hasn't heard of an issue.
that'll be fine. All right, do we have the planning commission statement?
I sent it to you
Yep.
guys.
Anybody have any,
That's the rough,
issues with it?
that's the rough draft I did.
I will make a motion that we, accept that and sign that.
So she does have one pencil and correction.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
we can sign it later, but we can approve it now.
That's fine.
yeah, I can, do a copy with the town letterhead.
All right, I make a motion that we, go with that, showing our support for, the town plan and the planning commission. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Could someone read what that is that you just made a motion on?
The Town of Athens Selectboard supports a study and implementation of a town plan in the belief that all the people of the town have a right to decide how their town should be developed. The town plan is not zoning. It may include zoning if it is a wish of the residents. Zoning is not a part of the Athens Town Plan. Planning is the process of designing a community future. Zoning is a process of regulating proposed uses of property to fit with the design. That is, if zoning is used in conjunction with a town plan, but this is not being considered with the Athens Town Plan. Town plan can help with the access of some grants and otherwise would not be available to the town that does not have a plan. Act 250, Title 10, VSA Chapter 151 is the Vermont Land Use and Development Law. Their 10 criteria are the specific standards where the District Environmental Commission must use to evaluate every development and subdivision application that falls under Act 250. The 10 criteria focused on projected impacts on air and water quality, water supply, traffic, local schools and services, municipal cost, historic and natural resources, including scenic beauty, impacts of growth and municipal and regional plans. At this time, without a town plan, if Act 250 was involved, our town would have little to say on the possibility of development of large tracts of land. Out of 256 municipalities, which are made up of 237 towns, 10 cities, 5 unincorporated towns, and 4 GORs, 90% have town plans in place. In Wyndham County, we are one of 2 towns that does not have a town plan. The other one is Somerset, an unincorporated town with a population of 6. It is time for our town to set goals for the development in the upcoming years. Nothing is set in stone, and the town plans can be flexible, but they are necessary so our town has a voice in our development and so we can apply for grant monies currently unavailable to us due to lack of a town plan. So we've made the motion to accept that.
Thank you for reading that, David. I might just offer one minor revision, because I think at the beginning you said the town plan is, as opposed to the town plan will or will not, or is not. It doesn't exist yet, so you might want to say it will not be something as opposed to it is not.
Well, we don't know what it's going to be, and it's not, we're not trying to put it down that it's, that we have decided what the town plan should be or shouldn't be. But grammatically, we can change that, but I don't want to try and put in something in that makes it seem like we are deciding on that.
Can I make a copy of that to go with the minutes?
Yeah.
We will get you the signed copy and stuff there. Is that good? When she does, there
Can I
is
just make a copy of what was read?
Yeah.
I know it's not the final thing.
Thank you for chatting. That's very appreciated.
No, it's very obvious.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We will go also to the oil pre-buy that we agreed to at the last meeting. I will make a motion that we approve that as we did last meeting. Because it wasn't on the warning, on the agenda, and we changed it. We could vote on it at this meeting. So
Okay.
I made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There are, there's contracts to sign for that
Yes.
in the box.
Oh, you got them?
Yep,
They sent them to you?
yep, she sent them today.
Okay.
And I would like to know if you'd like me to now cancel our service with Bart.
When does it start with?
I think they were asking when we wanted it to start. They have to check the oil tanks again.
So let's hold off on giving Bart up until they check and do their thing, not just on the chance that they can't deliver to one of them.
So Red River, she wanted to schedule when the first delivery was gonna be. And I said, let me talk to the select board and see if we're canceling with our current provider. So it's up to you guys, but
So I'd say like August 1st. Is that reasonable?
That gives 2 weeks to make sure everything's set.
That sounds good. Because right now, we don't need heating oil, but we do need diesel fuel, so.
But we can't. So why don't we do that, August 1st?
and they can come and do the inspections before then.
Before that, so
Okay.
we can go with that. All right, boards and officials. Anybody, Jerry, anything for boards and officials?
Nothing really, things are moving forward with the project for the meeting house. I do want to make note that we have a busy stretch coming up. We have 3 weeks in a row with events happening at the meeting house. We have an ice cream social a week from this Sunday from 2 to 4. We have a concert the following Saturday at 4. And we have a concert a week from that Saturday, the following Sunday, that would be the 12th. So July 30th, August 5th, and August 12th. That concert is on a Sunday afternoon at 2:30. So hope to see you all at one or more of our events.
Anybody else that wants official? All right. We also have the flooding on there. We had some,
David,
yeah,
you do have boards and officials.
boards and officials did already had.
Well, I think what I want to say is that obviously we're aware that if we weren't before, that the climate crisis is serious. And the thing that is I was so pleased to see is how many people, especially in official positions, have awakened to the idea that it's not just a one-time, 100-year event that's going to happen to us, but that the kind of storm that we had earlier in July is going to repeat. And in addition to that, of course, as all of you know who are following this in the world, there is a serious heat crisis throughout the world, and that we should expect that. Anyway, I don't want to belabor this. I'm going to assume that all of you are hip to all of what's going on. What I want to ask is to suggest that the community center be considered as its first priority as a shelter for people. I don't know how much need we're going to have for that. Certainly, with our first event earlier this month, the folks in Tennyville who got flooded out all managed to find housing with relatives and neighbors so that we didn't have to provide them with a place to stay. But I think things are going to get more serious, not only in terms of the kind of storm we had, which fortunately we got only a taste of. We weren't in middle and upstate Vermont, which got really hit.
It actually kind of went all around us, Londonderry, Jamaica.
No, yeah.
So, we were.
But we can't count on that blessing to happen every time.
Absolutely.
My point is that what we saw at the beginning of this month is going to repeat itself over and over again. I'm very concerned about the hurricane season. What with El Nino coming in, the amount of water in the atmosphere is going to be great. It's very conducive for hurricanes or storms. So anyway, I would like to request that the community center, in addition to whatever else it does, be considered first and foremost from this point on as our central emergency place. One of the reasons for that is that we feel that many of the people that we may have to accommodate will have animals, will have pets, and we can't do that in the church.
No. But we've signed on to allow that the community center be able to walk pets.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, David, I think, is to make it a more official, that it's understood that the community center will serve as an emergency shelter, that it will be the emergency shelter now, rather than considering the church as that. It would be great if we could house the trailer with our equipment and cots up there, not having to go down to the garage and get that.
The two issues I see with that is that we don't have a generator up there.
Yep.
And we don't have any air conditioner or mini splits to cool it. If it's 110 degrees, you're going to need some cooling.
Right.
So those are two issues on that we would have to work on, is to get.
The basement is cool, but it's not handicap accessible.
No.
It's what?
It's not handicap accessible.
The basement being
Right.
as low as it is, but it's not
There are
handicap.
problems, folks, and I wanted to address that as part of what I said. I'm well aware of what both of you had just said.
It is
I don't feel though. Pardon me?
I was just gonna say that the emergency shelter is a use that we wrote into that earmark grant that we've applied for. So it's definitely a consideration if renovations happen to that building. And then it would have backup power and air conditioning.
And I mean, I think that's something that is totally reasonable and not trying to and depend solely on the church. But right for the foreseeable future, say a year into next year probably, we should probably think about the church as being really the only place that the community center would be for the animals, and then work on it during that time, maybe with the emergency committee and things, and the community center group, to figure out what would be needed, what's gonna have to happen, and plan that into the renovations and things of the building.
Where I was going before all of you jumped in is to both acknowledge the things that we don't have and to ask that these be put on a top priority list. Figuring out whether we get together with what's his name in Bellows Falls, Fox, Gary Fox, and others, and maybe the Wyndham Regional, and figure out how we can get the money that we need as soon. I realize that it's not, going to happen overnight. I'm in no way seeing that. What I want to see is a sort of a response from the select board that they recognize that this is needed and that the need is going to be great for this. So that's why I'm raising this, is to get sort of you folks on board with this so that we can, and we would be willing, we being the emergency committee, to work with you on this. There's no reason not to.
One thing I think that I would like, and I'm not speaking for the board, is to work with the community center group in planning that out. That that the emergency committee and the community group not combine but collaborate on.
David, I thought that's what I was saying a moment ago. That's exactly what I said. Okay. That we would join with the community center in working on it. I see this as a joint project, very much so. Another related is that I'm wondering if we could also arrange to have a meeting between the select board and the emergency committee with perhaps emergency management, perhaps Wyndham Regional, to talk about things that we need to consider as a town in light of our circumstances to better deal with what we can reasonably anticipate at this point happening here, whether it's a flood, whether it's a heat wave, whatever, that we can, and maybe it would be beneficial to meet with people from the state or the region around us, and would the select board be interested in participating in such a gathering?
I think right now, to get anybody from emergency management from the state for the next month, let's say, would be difficult. And I know that Wyndham Regional, Alyssa is working pretty feverishly at the moment. So I would think it would be a month or two before we could have the meeting.
We do things when we can, David.
But I have no problem.
But I'm just trying to get and you said it, that we can't do it today or tomorrow, but we can do it maybe in a month or two. And that's fine.
But another thing that I might wonder about is if we try and include other towns in this, in the area, that, the EMDs, some on their select board, and maybe not all their select boards, but a group get
certainly
together.
Our neighbors in Brookline and Grafton, I would think would be.
Townsend, Rockingham, Westminster, all over not.
So are you suggesting that we maybe convene a meeting with the representatives from each of those towns to talk about the climate crisis and how we can deal with it collectively or individually?
I would think that would be good, and maybe have it run through Wyndham Regional. I attended a wasn't a tabletop drill here about a month ago with them about long-term power outages, and they had set that up, and it was Bennington and Wyndham counties. But I think it would be reasonable to get the groups together, the towns together, and just talk about, hey, this has happened to us. you
Well, I
know.
would love to see that, and anything I can do in working with you on bringing that about, I'm more than willing to do.
Why don't we both try to talk to Alyssa?
Okay.
Both knowing that she's busy at
Up
this
to our
moment,
eyeballs.
but, suggest that to her and see where, you know,
Okay,
regional.
I'll leave it up to you to let me, are you gonna set up a thing with Alyssa? Is that how you wanna do it?
I will email her. Why don't you email her or call her, and we'll both bring.
Tell her that you and I are both interested in meeting with her around this plan that we just discussed. Good,
Is that reasonable?
that's reasonable to me.
All right.
Are you still,
I'm sorry?
do you have other things, Tim? Because I had another related topic to discuss. too.
Anything more about the emergency committee?
Yeah.
No, that just I would like to publicly state my appreciation of folks who were available in town that day when the floods happened to show up and deal with our neighbors in Tennyville. It's good, you know, that's what we depend on is with these volunteers is for people to respond to an emergency. Something we're expecting. This was sort of like an opening shot. Thank you, Hannah.
All right, Hannah.
Yeah, I just, on the topic of the flooding and emergency protocol, I would help me to know like what the communication plan is in a situation like that, because I'm getting lots of emails from agencies, Regional Planning Commission, whatnot, asking what needs the town has.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone filtering needs to me, so I can respond to those, and I wasn't able to get a hold of David either, and I know Matt wasn't here. And so
Well-
I just really had limited ability, and I don't know if you want me to be part of that at all, or just ignore all these emails that come in, but,
Well, I wouldn't say ignore them, but I was responding to a number of the emails during and the day after that. I met with Eugene in the morning, I met with him in the evening, been around town. Tim and I talked. We sent the fire department out to the trailer park to see if there was any rescue needed, a swift water rescue needed. Thankfully there wasn't.
do you think some of those communications, do you think, I know there's like a lot going on in the moment there, but it would help me if you guys are responding to these emails to like reply, including me, so that I know I'm not on the hook for trying to figure something out. 'Cause
Well, Hannah, as you know,
If you can be transparent.
I'm CCing you all the time with.
you were for emergency
emergency
committee stuff, but I'm not actually talking about those emails. I was getting emails from all the agencies that are trying to find out, like, the state emergency management group, the
I mean, I
regional,
talked,
whatever, so.
yeah, I talked to the state EOC about the trailer park, and then to report what we thought was our damages at that time. We found some more since then, but and that's been reported. That was reported by Matt, but
I understand that now, but I'm just like in the moment, if it could be more transparent what's happening so that,
certainly.
or you can just tell me, ignore them, and that's fine.
No, that's true.
But I'm getting multiple emails from people over and over again, like, we haven't heard from you yet, what's going on in Athens? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, certainly if a EOC is opened, then it's works and runs a lot smoother. If an EOC is not open, it is more haphazard as it was with us, and you know, Tim calling me and I calling
How do
you.
you know if an EOC is opened?
Well, this office is the EOC, it's Emergency Operations Center, and it would have to be staffed, and you have to go through ICS protocols to open it, to run it, and
And that's something you do as the emergency coordinator?
I could open it. Really, anybody could open it in different ones, but you have to have the training to do that and know what it is and where it is. Probably a longer discussion than we need to take tonight, but I can send you some of the links to FEMA's EOC trainings and take them. I know you've taken some. Have you taken any?
Who's the point person who decides if something like that opens? Or I don't know, like I feel like there's a lack of leadership if something worse happened in town. Like it hopefully it wouldn't be as
It could be anybody
disjointed as this one.
that's within the scope of the emergency plan could open an EOC. But we're kind of small, and we wouldn't have, Matt wouldn't be standing here working the ELC. He would be out on the roads doing that. So it's a process, but it's,
I too was in contact with Eugene 2 or 3 times a day, and in contact with Matt, and making sure, things were going.
and you and I talked at one
Yeah,
time.
we did. So
Yeah.
So these different organizations, is this aid for roads or aid for folks in need that?
All of it.
It's all of it.
All
I
of
mean,
it.
but at the
There was like search and rescue, leaving messages. There was Wyndham Regional was acting on behalf of the state emergency operations group, trying to.
And you actually get more money through FEMA if there's a FEMA event, if it's open.
well, if an ELC,
Because that's the first question they ask you.
if the
Was it
ELC
open or not?
Yeah. But
But, because I know I talked to the emergency committee for Grafton Cares, wondering if, I know thankfully Athens wasn't hit really hard, but I know during Irene, there were people that their furnaces got flooded, their hot water heaters, because their basements flooded, not necessarily their driveways weren't washed away or anything, but they did lose utilities.
so
At the time that I talked to Tim, he didn't have anyone identified that was in need.
yeah. So I mean, and it's too much to go into at this meeting, but there is a whole system, the incident command system that the federal government has. We have to adopt that as our operating procedures, and we have done that. But it is books upon books upon books of emergency management that you have to follow to be able to do all that. So that you start out with the trailer park. Do they need swift water rescue? Life and safety? You try and then protect property. You try to protect the roads that are washing out, and there are a whole series of things on how you go down one to the other. So
and documenting things.
And
Is this training that Don has also done as?
I know he's done some ICS. I don't know how much.
I mean, I'm just thinking of what our protocol is for the emergency committee, and it seems like we've talked about an EOC, this being the operations here at the town office. It's part of why the generator was here. It was all kind of connected with work that the emergency committee did. But what I'm hearing you describe suggests to me that the protocol that we have is severely inadequate for that kind of opening of an EOC.
No.
Because
No,
No,
you follow the federal guidelines, and you have to follow that. And if you don't follow
do
that,
we know them on the emergency committee? I don't know. I mean, our protocol certainly doesn't speak to that.
the emergency committee, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Emergency committee.
the volunteer emergency committee is more about the shelter and assisting people that need
Yeah.
something. That if the ELC, if somebody was in the EOC, running the EOC, and needed somebody to be given a ride, they could call the emergency committee and they could get a ride. If somebody needs to be rescued, the emergency committee is not going to be.
No, clearly not. But members of the emergency committee could probably help staff this if they knew what they could do or should do. And
I can get you the protocols that you can look at.
not books and books, but just a protocol.
No, it's gonna be books and
Okay.
books.
Okay.
You can start now and then we'll be ready.
So, what sounds like you're saying, like the books and books thing to discourage people.
No,
from
it's
being
not, but it's-
interested, but it seems like we need to have people trained and not just you, David, because
Don has taken some ICS, I know.
so I don't know, could there be a plan in place that it's like these three, like one of these three people need to come to the town office and open this center if it's needed?
I mean,
If it would needed,
and Dave, I'm thinking if you are in Bellows Falls dealing with emergencies there, and you are not able to be here, that could be an
Well,
issue.
Don is supposed to be,
Don's supposed to- yeah.
Don is-
assistant.
I
Yeah.
understand that.
and it doesn't have to be, and it usually is not the emergency management director who is head of the EOC, who's the operations manager at the EOC, so.
So this has been a great conversation, but I still don't know if Hannah's question has been answered. When you are in contact with these agencies, can she please be CC'd so she knows she does not have to answer them because she keeps getting multiple?
We can certainly
And I
do that.
would think, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And
We can certainly do that.
I would add maybe CCing Don and or Tim as the emergency committee in town that is also in that loop in case there's anything that
Yeah.
can
I mean,
contribute or.
But Tim and I discussed it with what we thought at the time was the current emergency there. We discussed that and we got the fire department out there and.
That's great, but if you could just like at the end of the day say like, hey Hannah, these are the things that happened. We don't need you to respond to anyone else. We've got this under control.
Or Hannah, please respond to da.
Yeah,
We could do that.
that'd be great. More communication, I think, is always better than
It
less
doesn't
than
hurt.
not.
Yes.
One
All
thing, okay.
I don't have the paper that I had printed out. But did everybody get the thing from Alyssa Sabeto today about following the protocols for the purchasing for the FEMA?
If it was today, I have not checked any emails yet today. I left the house at 6:00 this morning.
That is several attachments to her email, and if you didn't get it, then I can forward it to everybody there. But it has to do with our response and purchasing.
You do that.
And purchasing for events that have happened here. So we're gonna have to follow our purchasing
Procurement policy.
policy, and but there's any number of things that FEMA's gonna require us to do to follow that. So she sent it out today.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it.
I will forward it to all of you there.
I got the last one and I watched one of the webinars too. So.
All right, anybody else for boards and officials? We'll move on to appointments.
I know mail comes last, but are any of the letters that people submitted gonna be considered?
Yeah, they can, you. And I have not looked in here if there are any others. This is well letter.
Are the ones that you've submitted tonight different than the ones?
I only printed off the ones I was CC'd on. I have no idea if other ones came in.
I printed off everything that came into the town.
I have no idea. I was CC'd on them.
That one's good. That one was not there.
I think it was others. I don't see that stuff.
Sick butt.
Oh, yeah. Especially the bloody road is on. The town driveway, simple plan.
I'd like to know who drove off the road down here.
They make it out? That's the impressive
Um,
part.
It looks like they got back to the road.
I think it was, what's the girl's name? Was it Jessica? She lives up on Valley Cemetery. She lives with her younger brother, and her older brother's name is Billy
Yep.
or Bobby or something like that. I think it was him, and he rolled his car, and wrecked him.
All right.
Yeah. But I had heard something about he was. Well, but I don't know. I don't even know who he was. Oh, sorry.
David, you don't need me for anything else, do you?
No, sure.
I've got chores.
Okay.
Supper.
Yeah, I got FEMA work, that people are a lot still.
All right.
In this film,
So let's start with the select board appointments.
I would like to appoint Krista Gay. She was, as she stated, she was on the ballot and she only lost by one vote. So I would support that.
Will you share what those letters are about?
They are in support of Krista for, they will be in the minutes. We're not gonna read them all.
Okay.
But they're in support of Krista for the select board.
They're from community members.
and how many are there? Like six, half a dozen?
There's more than that.
2, 3, 4. I have 6 personally in my
Okay.
office.
Well, maybe that's it then.
They're from people that have served with me on boards.
Yep.
I would like to nominate Ivor Stevens.
Do we have a
What
second?
does that mean, David?
Like the board's working here, just a minute, we can talk. We haven't got a motion on the thing. Do we have a second to either of them?
I have a second for it. I would.
I will second Krista. Krista, did you want to talk? Hold on just a second, Dennis, and then I'll.
We have 2 motions open.
We do. We have 2 people that have expressed interest and both have been
Nominated.
nominated and seconded.
Okay. What did you want me to say, David?
Is there something that you'd like to talk to us now about the appointment, or?
I mean, a few things.
Okay.
First one, it's been said repeatedly that we would like to have younger people involved. I'm consistently the youngest person involved. And I go out of my way to volunteer to help things, whether it be the dinners and other than when I was in an accident, I mean, I even showed up to the schoolhouse meeting the day after I had my gallbladder out. I'm committed to showing up to things. I just want to address the elephant in the room. I know that people might be concerned that I'm related to people on Taylor Hill with a lawsuit, or that I stay with my grandma that lives there. I would, of course, recuse myself from anything involving that, the same way anyone that has a conflict, whether it be related to someone or whatever, recuses themselves. On that note, though, I would say that my understanding based upon that lawsuit is that it's currently before the judge. So there's absolutely nothing I could do, whether I was on the board anyways, that would affect that outcome. However, I recuse myself the same way Harold should have been if he had family members on the road. I really think that my legal training would be an asset. I'm an employment attorney. I know last year stuff came up where there was a disagreement about benefits or leave between the handbook and the policies. And so I'd love to make sure that that's all consistent. Being a fair employer where people want to work is very important to me. And I've consistently showed up for this town. And I lost by 1 vote, so my support is widespread. In addition to those letters that just came in this week, all stating my commitment to the town and that I do a good job and I show up.
Dennis, you had something?
Yes, now that the select board is also the road commissioner for the town, I think it would be to your advantage to have somebody who's knowledgeable in excavating, and Ivor has his own business, he understands cost of things. The new select board member, somebody like Ivor, could work more closely and and understand more of what's going on with the roads, which there is a lot. So I think Ivor would be an excellent replacement for Harold.
Okay.
As stated by Ivor when he was here, he was only interested in filling out what was left of the term. He didn't express interest that he really wanted to be on the select board. It seemed like he was more willing to take the space that was available to help the town out, but showed no interest and hasn't in the past of wanting to be on the select board, and Krista has.
The other thing I would say is I had clear set goals in mind that I mentioned in March that I'm still dedicated to. One of the things when I was talking to people like Adrian Tenney, for example, or even Kathy Woodbury, is that they end up having to watch the select board meetings on Fact TV because they're homebound or they have responsibilities and they can't attend here. All the other boards that I'm on, whether it be the school board or the meeting house committee, meet virtually. And I think that's something that I'd be willing to invest in order to make it more accessible. I also think it's really important that the town has a bathroom. Like, that's something we've been doing for like a long time. Like, they deserve a bathroom in their workplace. And that's something that I would absolutely be committed to, including doing anything I can to get the grant money for that, as well as preserving the 3-4 town buildings that we have here. And so I'm committed to that. I've shown an interest. And again, I have widespread support.
So one question that I would have would be, the meeting house committee had promised us to pay off their loan last year. We're on the meeting house committee, but we haven't been paid completely for that. Anything about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for asking. I've been on the meeting house since March and that hasn't come up or been voted on to my knowledge and the stuff that we've done. So I would have no way to do that. I will say that our fundraisers have been doing really well. I've gone above and beyond with those fundraisers, and I'm sure Jerry could attest in order to make sure that we don't need any money, as well as finding cost-effective ways. So there's been no way in my position that I could do that because it hasn't been presented or come up for a vote.
Okay. So you hadn't heard anything about?
Well, I heard about it last year, but there's nothing that I can do about it considering our main issues with the meeting house currently have been securing grant funding for the basement and the walls, making sure that we do the number of fundraisers or events that we're required to do. So that's been our priorities as we're set against deadlines. And I will say that I have been reviewing unofficially those contracts that have for the grants and other things. Well, last year, when I was allowed to in order to help facilitate and save costs. I'm no longer allowed to do that, but I did that last year to save money.
Yes, we asked.
Yeah.
When you were town agent. Yes.
I agree with what Kate said. The fact that Ivor has not expressed an interest in staying on the board for any length of time, just filling the position. Krista has dedicated her nomination or her chance to be on the board, and she's committed to doing it. Whereas Ivor may be exactly what Dennis said, definitely, but he doesn't seem to be wanting to be on the committee for very long. And I think the town needs somebody like this.
Anybody else? Before we go back,
It's my understanding that Krista sent gifts to 2 members of the select board in support for the work that they've been doing for the town. I just wondered what the legal consequences for those select board members if they accepted the said gift from Krista.
I can talk about that. That was 2 years ago. I sent out Christmas gifts to a variety of people in town. It was a $10 nominal gift card, which you're allowed to give out. The people that I gave stuff out to, sent them to everybody, not just 2.
You sent it to all 4 select board members?
Yes, I did.
Did all 4 select board
It
members?
was mailed to you. It never came back to me. But
Denise, did you get one?
I did get one and I donated it.
And I sent them to people in town with my Christmas cards. It was a $10 gas gift card to say thanks for what people were doing.
And what is the legal consequences if they accepted said gift?
It's a non-nominal value and it was given to my neighbors. It wasn't because I was trying to buy their vote. It's because I live next to them and I've done everything.
I don't know if that would have an impact.
That was also, I believe, over 2 years ago, and seeing that it wasn't received as I wasn't running for anything, I was just trying to be nice to thank the people for what they do. I included a handwritten gift or handwritten note as a Christmas card, and it was $10, which, at least if you're a government official, you're allowed to accept a nominal gift.
Yeah, I got one of the cards.
But yeah, and she sent it back.
And I appreciated the Christmas card. I didn't feel that the gift card was a necessity, so I returned it to Krista myself.
Yes, and I received one and I returned it at a select board meeting. I didn't think it was appropriate.
And it was 2 years ago, and it was a Christmas. It's $10. It's a thanks for what people were doing in town, 'cause especially during COVID, everyone got hit real hard.
Yeah, which was appreciated, but I
and
myself,
that's
I
fine.
didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah,
thanking.
and that's totally fine, and that's
So,
it was more just, and I looked up to make sure I could do a nominal gift.
yeah.
So
So I don't know if that has any bearing.
and I also wasn't running for anything at all at that time.
I've always been a resident for a long time. I don't know if he was born in Athens. But he's a hardworking guy. He's a quiet person. He doesn't say a lot. I wished he was here to speak for himself, but he isn't. Ivor's the kind of person that can be counted on to help out whenever there's something he can help out with. And he does it in a quiet way. I think he loves the town, he loves the people here. And I think also what Dennis was saying earlier is something to consider too, his expertise and what he does for a living. That can also help the town. So,
Anybody else have anything before we go back to Dennis?
Could I ask Krista how many boards and committees she serves on right now?
Sure. So none of them overlap, first of all. And if you pull out the town book, I just want to start by saying this, you'll notice that a lot of people are on a lot of committees. My meetings would be Thursdays. I'm on the school board, which meets first Tuesday of the month. I'm on the Campbell Fund, which doesn't meet. We've had, I think, 2 meetings in well over 5 years. I volunteer with the schoolhouse one. I ran the Halloween party, but we haven't been meeting recently. So for that, I volunteer at events. But again, we don't meet every month, and I ran the Halloween party. And then I'm on the meeting house committee where we meet virtually for an hour once a month, and I volunteer at those events on the weekends. So I really like volunteering, and those are the ways I've done it. But I think anyone that's on a board with me, if I've missed a meeting, just because I was in a car accident or I had something that I told them about the same way anybody would if they had a family commitment. I just really like this town and helping my neighbors, and all of those positions, most of those positions, nobody else was in them.
Well, Gary.
I've had the pleasure of serving with Krista since she's joined the Meeting House Committee, but also got to know her before that. I am really grateful to have her on the Meeting House Committee. She has been a very positive and constructive member of that committee. Responsible, as she just said. If she was unable to make a meeting, we would be informed of that in advance. I think that all of the things that Krista has communicated to you tonight speak volumes as to why she would be a tremendous asset to the board and to the town. Certainly her legal training would be a huge asset. And I would not really at all want to speak negatively to Ivor's interest in filling the seat. Yes, Ivor does bring some skill and knowledge, a great bit of it, to regarding roads, but that hasn't been anything that seemed to be a concern or a lacking from this board for the past 2 years. And we did away with the road commissioner. So that's kind of curious. And so I guess what I just want to say is that it is the elephant in the room, which is really sad, that there is something else underneath all of this that could possibly bring this board to a 2 yes, 2 no, 2 yes, 2 no tie on 2 candidates for this position. And where will that put us? It's kind of sad. What would happen if that were to be the scenario? I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that.
We need 3 votes.
I understand that. So if you get 2 yes and 2 no for one candidate and 2 yes and 2 no for another candidate, where would it go from there?
Nobody would be appointed.
Right.
Wait a minute. I think we all can agree that both Krista and Ivor have served the town and are very good candidates for the position here. So I'm not sure that anybody can say that either is a bad candidate. I think we're lucky to have both of them.
Yeah, comment is very simple, David. It's that ever since I've known her and seen her acting in town, she has exhibited an energy, a passion, and an expertise which I think we could really use. While Ivor's a great guy, I don't think he can provide what Krista can provide. And I would urge you to consider what she's done, her commitment to the town, the energy she brings to what she does, and the commitment she brings.
The last thing I would say is, if we both knew, and again, I'm sure Ivor's great, but I objectively have widespread support in the town with 50+ votes and multiple letters of recommendation from everybody that I've served on boards with, and anybody that's running could have put that together. And I took the time to do that, and I think I have widespread community support. And I think that's important.
I think if I could just say something too. I mean, I think it's interesting that Krista's here and she's working hard. She really wants this position. I think Ivor, he left because he's assuming Krista is the better candidate.
No, he did not leave because of that. He left because he had to do FEMA.
He's not here to be involved in the discussion. He was not working hard for it. He didn't get letters of support. So I don't know. I see it as a level of engagement here that.
What I would like to do is not, be throwing either of what I consider both 2 good candidates for the position, say, under the bus. And say,
I don't think I was at all. I mean, I just think it's telling that he walked out, and I think Ivor's great. I mean, I have nothing against him. I'm just thinking, like, in this context.
Well, first of all, I don't think we eliminated the road commissioner's position, did we? The responsibility went to the select board. And I think Ivor is the right person at the right time for the right job. We're dealing a lot with roads. And I mean, I talked to Krista. I like Krista. I think we get along good. But she is part of a lawsuit against the town. And I think that's a strike. What's that?
I signed in publicly with everybody else. And I don't have a lawyer, and I haven't been involved in any way. I attended because of it.
She's involved.
She is.
She is.
I signed the petition as well as 50 other people in town several years ago. I have not been involved in any way in deciding to appeal it or do anything with it at all. And I already said for that, since it is the elephant in the room,
But you said you'll recuse yourself.
I will recuse myself the same way that anybody that has a conflict has to do it. But according to the hearing on Tuesday, that's up to the judge. There's nothing I can do to affect that whatsoever. I don't.
Well, I'm not sure that that's correct, but I don't know. But if you recuse yourself from it, that's.
There's also 2 board members that signed the same petition. So if I'm gonna be recused from that, they have to be too for that reason, but I'm instead voluntarily recusing myself. Joan? I don't know what it would be. Joan, someone decided.
Oh, Joanne. I asked Darlene to remove my name from that petition, so technically I am not on that petition. Because I realized it was a
I don't-
conflict
I
and you
don't-
will not see my name listed in the appellants.
I have a list of them right here.
We don't need to get into
I think
that
that
at
this
this
is a
point.
red herring, because I wouldn't be involved at all in the decisions
what's her
already
name?
made.
I mean, yeah, if you are,
I would physically leave the room too, I wanna be clear, I'm not gonna sit in here and not vote, I physically remove myself from the room to remove any doubt.
yeah, well, that's what we want to do. Okay,
I'm just saying, if that would be a reason why somebody wouldn't think Krista should be on. Janet is a perfect example of being able to be on the select board, even though her son works for the town. When something comes up that she shouldn't vote on, she doesn't. So I don't think that that's even an issue to be brought up.
well, but certainly, I mean, people bring up any number of issues, it can be brought up.
Brought
I
up,
like what I
but to be
said.
taken
I don't
serious.
want, I think both are qualified and good candidates, and I'm
So what
not
do you do now?
particularly, we vote, but I don't think that it's necessarily good to be complaining about either one of them.
No.
So, anybody else have anything to say?
Yes, I have a question.
Linda?
I heard, and I have no clue if this is true or not, but when a board is tied, like now you have 4 members, and they're tied, does the town clerk have the right to cast a ballot? A vote? No.
No. On any board, whether it's a 3-member or 5-member, it has to be a majority. So if it's a 3-member, 2 have to vote. If it's a 5-member, 3 have to vote in the affirmative for anything. So if only 3 of us were here, but it's a 5-member board, we all have to vote in the same way. I can't be 2 to 1 pass anything, so. All right. Anything? Any questions? Sandy?
No. Just think at this particular time for the town, it would be better to have somebody that is not involved in anything that could cause a problem with voting on the select board, making it a tie or whatever. That's just my case. No.
But she says she'll recuse herself from anything to do with it.
What happens when you recuse yourself from that? That leaves 4 members. So it's no different.
That's what I'm saying. At least Ivor is not in any.
It still leaves 2. You have to recuse yourself. It's no difference.
All right. Anybody else have anything to say here?
No.
There's the question. Sandy? We've got 2 nominations. Sandy, what do you vote?
I see them both as being eminently qualified. I'm looking at the long term, what's best for the towns. And I think at this time, Krista's the one that's better for the town. Krista. I'm gonna stay over there.
I'll vote Kristen. So, why don't you get sworn in and come up here and.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I want to say that I take being a cry. Sorry, I'm emotional. I take being a good neighbor very seriously. I think my relationship with Dennis is a great example. I think Dennis can say wholeheartedly that we have very heated and passionate disagreements, including one at the town dinner this fall when there was a very contentious thing for a vote. I still care a lot about Dennis, and anytime he's called me, I've helped. And regardless of whether or not you want me here, I want to be that kind of neighbor to you that you can disagree with me, but you feel respected, and that'll help you. And so I think my relationship with Dennis is a good part of that, or anyone else I've disagreed with. And I look forward to being a good neighbor to you.
I'd like to be the first to congratulate you, and I wish you the best.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hannah,
I'm
do you
excited
have-
to help you, good employer.
Hannah, do you have the documents swearing?
I can pull one.
Pull one right now so that she can participate in the rest of the meeting.
Right, geez. Right,
Oh, thanks, Dennis.
Don't let it sound.
I know, I won't. Sorry to hold you up.
We got all night.
Alright.
As long as it wasn't Dennis appointed and we're here at 1 in the morning.
Should have brought snacks.
You miss me and you know it.
Very
I was this close, but I didn't want to ruin your night.
That's it. All right, this isn't all that ceremonial, but this is, you read that. Out loud. Oh, whatever that's, you counted your life. And you see select board. There's gonna be select, isn't there a select board?
Yes.
Yeah, you're just gonna assign your name as the select board one there. Alright, and I'm just gonna say, how many months do you say,
September, October, November, December, January, February.
8 month term?
Yep.
Twirling your batons,
What?
twirling your batons.
I have some if you'd like to borrow them. I can get you some.
That in Georgians.
The Burling is now.
Well, now they got the ribbon things.
You know?
Yeah.
When I was out in Michigan,
Yes, it's outnumbered.
I know. Is
That
that the most
alone
women
should
ever
have
on the
won.
select board?
It is big.
Good job, girls.
It is, the rose among the thorns here.
Who's front center?
Yeah, because we can, we can see.
All right, for appointments, we also have a position of town agent and town grand juror. Jimmy, you expressed an interest in those. I will nominate you for those positions.
I will second that nomination.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who was
Appoint
nominated? I'm sorry.
Jimmy Trimble.
for town agent and town grand juror. The planning commission, do we have the list of names, Hannah?
Okay, planning commission, John Oberling, Mark Berman, Krista,
That was before this. Oh, good.
Okay.
maybe Andy Tepfer, maybe me. I think I'm gonna withdraw my name from that list though, so I think it's those first 4.
Well, Krista says she withdraws that right now, because she is actually on there as an ex officio member, as all of the select board is. So, and Janet's actually on the committee too, as a voting member, but we are members. I will make a motion to nominate those 3 people. Motion wants.
Oh, no, I'm already holding.
Is there a second?
Which 3 is it?
Yep.
John Oberling,
Andy Tepfer.
Furman.
Andy Tepfer, and Furman.
Mark Berman.
Okay.
Furman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any other positions that we have? I think those are the only empty.
That's a question. I understand there's also a school position.
You do not appoint any school positions. That,
Do you know anything about the timing or the process for that?
I do.
And do you then also, I think I remember you guys like giving approval?
what, no.
No?
What it used to be is that the school board would make a recommendation as to who they wanted, and then the select board would appoint somebody to the board. That changed probably over a decade ago, and it is all to do with the school board who appoints school board.
There's no endorsement that comes from.
There is nothing that the select board does in appointing either the Union High School or the elementary board.
But if you would like that position,
Oh,
you
no,
can.
no, I just was interested for, you know.
Elementary school board's great. We're awesome.
But no, we have no, that and the cemetery commission are the two boards that the select board does not choose. All right, we will move on from appointments to the Murph grant. Sandy?
Well, Don sends his apologies not being able to be here tonight because he decided to rip our son's bathroom apart. And it's not going well. So basically the MERP can be used on either or building. Either the community center.
Why don't you explain what Murph is?
I don't know what the acronym stands
Municipal
for.
Energy Resilience Program.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Because I just call it MERP. So it's sort of split down the middle that it can be used on one building or the other. It cannot be used on both buildings. Now he believes if it would cover like doing mini splits and maybe solar on the community center, that might be the building to use the MERP funds on. But if it doesn't cover mini splits, then it would be logical to use it completely on the town garage for the insulation needs.
It can also cover ADA upgrades because
Right.
it's a requirement of any building that it's used on to be fully ADA accessible.
Yeah, so he really thinks that it's gonna depend on what they are willing to cover.
And Brattleboro Bolton Credit Corporation has, what did they offer us?
I don't have that information.
So they've offered us $6,000. It's parallel but not related to MERP directly. So they're offering us $6,000 that has to be used by the end of August for the scoping work for either or both of the two buildings. So like the architectural planning for either building, which is required for the USDA community facilities
But
grants.
we need to make a motion to accept that, correct?
Did we make that motion?
Not,
No, we
not
just
the
got
6,000.
award letter. We just
Oh,
got
okay.
the intent at least from them a couple days ago.
I will make a motion to accept Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation's offer of the $6,000. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else from that? No?
Well, so there is though. I mean,
All right.
so
Well,
there's
you probably know more than, what he was trying to pass on to me today.
well, so there's applications open now for the assessments that they're doing, and it's so MERF is like a step-by-step thing. We've already gotten our MERF mini grant, $4,000, which we're also hoping to put towards this scoping is what we've discussed and what we applied for it. So now the building assessments are open, and there's a level 1 and a level 2 assessment, and you can get them on multiple buildings. So level 1 is kind of a walkthrough, high level assessment. So to see what the energy needs are of the buildings. Level 2 is like a full day assessment, and they do like a blower door, and they look at, they ask for like 2 or 3 years of energy bills.
And were
heating
they
bills and stuff.
suggesting that we go for a level 2 rather than a level 1?
Well, Mike McConnell, who's working with us from Wyndham Regional, says go for the level 2s because they just give you more information. None of these assessments cost anything. So you need to pull some documents together for the level 2s. Like they ask for as much documentation as you have about like the engineering drawings of the building. But it's okay if you don't have those. They definitely need the energy bills. I just was on an hour-long webinar yesterday about all this, so it's fresh in mind. But so the applications are open, and we can decide if we want to get these assessments, and it's first come first served, I believe. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would recommend we put in for the level 2 for both buildings if we can. We have the bills. I don't know what we have for drawings for either of them, but
I have the schematics for the community center that were filed with the state of Vermont, when the building was originally built. So those are available.
and if we had anything for the town garage, that would be.
I think the town garage, we have like an old flyer about, it's a
I mean,
steel
the thing with the
building.
garage is like it's pretty clear what its needs are. Maybe it doesn't need a level 2, but I don't know. Like, would it hurt to get a level 2?
I would prefer to get a level 2 on both and then
Yeah.
see which one has the higher need and
Right.
which one.
Yeah,
But you're right.
And the money we can get for
Yeah,
each
money
one.
we can get. And
Exactly.
I sort of agree with Dawn. If we can get the upgrades we need to the community center to help it with the mini splits and everything that we need to make it a shelter, I think that'd be ideal.
Well, it's the ADA because it has big ADA needs up
Yeah.
there. So.
Yeah.
But
Is
the
that-
work, the implementation grants are up to $500,000 for the one building, so it could be very effective.
Okay. So we need to I would make a motion that
I thought we just did.
well, I just want to confirm that motion is for the both of them to be level 2.
Did you make a new motion? I made
I
a
will
motion for the
amend-
$6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made a motion for a level 2. I will second that.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who wants to do the application work on that?
Not me.
I'm happy to put in the applications, but I will need help with collecting the schematic drawings and knowing the square footage of the buildings and all of that. So I may reach out to Sandy and Dawn.
Okay.
And Janet, if you have more info on the garage.
Well, it's kind of simple. It's 40 by 60.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
And there's no insulation.
No,
There's
there's plenty.
insulation,
There's plenty.
it's just a little black.
It's black right now.
That's all.
And growing.
Have they had it tested?
No.
I don't think you need to. It's bad. All right, we'll move on to roads. Matt?
First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to Eugene. I think he did a great job. I was in communication with him the whole time during the storm. And my wife was on Facebook showing me pictures, so I kept calling him going, "You sure you don't need me to come home?" And I was very surprised to hear that what little damage we actually did have. I was very proud of him and whoever helped him with a couple culverts. We had a little bit of damage caused by a driveway culvert plugged up, came out into the Brookline Road and washed the road out. And we had one culvert up on the Reed Road that got messed up. And then we have a spot where the brook has come up and touched the bank and it's washing out into the Reed Road, which is our big problem. Other than if it wasn't for that problem, we wouldn't have had enough damage to.
Well, come on, the brook is not touching the road. It's the lack of a bank now.
Well, yes, the lack of a bank, but
It's still sliding.
yeah, it's still sliding. The road will probably be closed if it gets much closer. So after tomorrow's rainstorms, that road will probably be closed to through traffic.
Where on Reed Road is?
Right on Chrysostomos property,
Remember where the White House used to be?
right across.
Yeah, right across from there.
Oh,
Yeah, please
Yeah.
don't go up there and stand on the edge of the bank.
No, cause it's like a 9,500 foot and
Yeah.
it's within 4 feet of the edge of the road
So
right
all
now.
those big old,
Oh, the
No,
old
the
trees are
old
over.
trees are fine.
yeah.
It's like right after that, the
Okay.
bank just has gone down into the creek and, that's a necessary fix because of the fact that it is affecting the waterway.
And the roadway.
We don't care about the roadway.
And after meeting with the state
Shut
the
down
other
that
day, I
section.
can't say the number that they told us because we're putting everything out for bids, but it was quite shocking.
Yeah, it is a
Eye-opening.
big number. It is
But-
a big number.
We have to follow that, but hopefully,
There's caution tape. Do not cross it, caution tape.
but hopefully, do we have any place we can get some Jersey barriers?
I can see if Basin has a couple extra.
Or maybe the state?
I can ask the state. But right now, they're pretty hectic.
No, I don't think it's that.
Right now, for the flood stuff, we're not dealing with Mark Pickering. We're dealing with Megan.
Yeah.
Mark has been pulled off to do all the state stuff, and Megan is helping all the towns.
Anything else?
I do have a thing for executive session.
Yep.
Oh, we did meet with, two state
Yeah,
people
for the swap.
that, they come down and they do a estimate, they take a look at it, they do all the measurements, and they help submit it to FEMA. And this time around, because this is gonna be a big number, I think it would be wisest if the board voted to use part of the FEMA money, which is available for somebody to fill out the applications to FEMA.
Yes, when you fill out your applications for FEMA, there is a part in there for, what do you call it? For
Consultant?
no,
Yeah, well,
what do they put? They use it as a name.
Admin.
No,
no,
it's something else, but I can't remember it right now. But they
We know-
pay
we know
they pay
it's-
100% of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think, I've read that FEMA may be paying 100% of the damages in,
Well, that would be very good for us.
and
mm-hmm.
we want to jump on that. So there is a chance that we will give it 100% and won't have to pay.
Yeah, we have, and so we have a few minor washes around town. Of course, this week we were mowing roadsides and we had other things going on. So we didn't get to fixing them. Those are going to be fixed next week. The week after, depending on when the excavator's freed up, we're going to be working on Whitney Hill and the Sam Farr Road and the Lower Road section, that little block right there for our grants and aid. I got it all covered underneath that. So that'll pay for the catch basin, the culverts, the stone, all that.
Yeah, and I would like to thank Eugene as well, because at 5 something in the morning, he was out, and I met with him, and I met with him again at 6:30, and he was still out, still working. I think
Yeah, when I saw him Thursday, he was
Tired?
tired.
I came home early because he had an appointment, so I came home early, and he was tired. He had enough.
He did a very good job.
He did a very good job.
An excellent job.
He did keep in contact with many of the members of the select board through the whole thing too, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I left all your names and numbers right on a piece of paper.
I
All right.
can change my number.
So,
All
more
right.
still on roads, I just have a couple
Yep,
questions.
go ahead.
Do you have, a schedule that you check certain culverts? Cause I just wanna know, like, I know that there's been a lot of rain and a lot of culverts are being blocked. But do you have a schedule that you usually check culverts or no? Just
No, normally it's when we're right in the area,
Okay,
we check them.
But you
I
won't.
mean, if they're taking water, and you can notice if there's a problem.
okay.
But I do know that
We are supposed to go around once a year.
Do
And like I asked you guys for the camera,
Yeah.
that was for that reason. We are supposed to crawl in and check every culvert every year. So when there is a flood, so FEMA's gonna come into town. When they come into town and they talk about this damage, they're gonna ask for our maintenance records. So we are supposed to be taking pictures of every culvert and documenting that we've checked them, we've done all this stuff. And just writing it on a piece of paper like we've done for the last 40 years is not enough. They want physical proof. They want a picture with a timestamp on it. They want proof that we've done it. That was one of the big things with our last flood. And I think as these weather events keep coming around, we're gonna have to start doing more and more of this stuff. Because if we don't, one of these times they're gonna come in and say, well, where's your proof? Because they don't know us. They're not going to take our word for it that we done it.
That's true. Okay.
All right. Anything else for roads?
Do you wanna do that access permit? I'm sorry.
I didn't see any. Janet.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Janet.
Shouldn't we be putting out the,
Oh, we gotta put,
sand?
yes, we gotta put the winter sand out to bids too.
How much do we think we need?
Same as last year.
I will make a motion that we work with Hannah and put the bids out for the town sand.
I'll second.
Do you still have a copy of last year's?
I will find it, yep.
Okay.
You want to have it exactly the same?
Same day.
I'll do Monday.
Just change the dates.
Do that.
So this is for the Pinnacle Association. Is that correct?
And what do,
Holy Pond Highlands Town Line Trailhead Parking Area 466 Brookline Road. I will make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Yeah, you can't get no closer to the town line.
It's all good. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to sign this? Don't believe we do. Yes. All right, I will make a motion to go into executive session where the premature public knowledge would place the town of Athens at a substantial disadvantage, one, a personnel matter, and two, a legal matter. And I would ask that Matt stay.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye, aye, aye.
Oh.
You want?
This meeting was recorded by Falls Area Community Television, located at 1 Hospital Court, Bellows Falls, Vermont. If you would like a copy of the meeting, our phone number is 802-463-1613, or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community TV, keeping government honest.